Welcome to Paranormal Latte Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Kelly Renee Schutz. Sit back and relax with us. Grab yourself a really good drink. Spend an hour and let's delve into a world of chatter about the mysteries of the unexplained. Whether you are a skeptic or a believer makes no difference. It's not always in your imagination. Enjoy your day. Now that was good. Now that was good. My name is Dr. Kelly Renee Schutz. I am the host and the producer of this show. Tonight we have Stephen Bird with us. He is from Scotland and quite an interesting man. Yep, you heard me. We had a very interesting conversation tonight. He is what is called a platform medium. He's had experiences since a very young age, and he has also seen a number of times these grays, of course, the ones with the big black eyes, as well as many crafts, as a matter of fact. But before we get into that interview, why don't we take a moment here and learn just a little bit more about my special guest this evening, Stephen Bird. My guest this evening is Stephen Bird. From the age of 6, he knew things weren't as simple as he was taught. He saw his first spirit at the age of 6, followed by a small gray alien. At age 15, he saw this alien at the base of his bed in the middle of the night. Many years later, he saw UFO sightings, and he became suddenly a beacon and a platform medium. He has also been chosen to rescue lost souls on Earth and banish bad ones that have attached to good people. He has written his first book, which describes his life so far with spirit and otherworldly and mystical creatures. He has worked extensively with angels and has also written poetry, which is part of his first book. His second book is underway with many spirit and alien experiences, including 2 sightings and the channeling of one species of aliens. We had a lot to talk about this evening, so sit back and grab your favorite blankie as we go head on head with my special guest, Stephen Bird. Well, good evening, Stephen, and thank you so very much for being on the show today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, this is going to be a very interesting show. We're going to learn a little bit tonight about some new concepts and some new ideas. And this gentleman here, he has written a book, but he's on his second. Very interesting background that you'll hear about. So I think we'll get rolling because I'm kind of anxious to get into some of this stuff here. So Stephen, what I do is always do the foundation. I always do that. Go back as young as you can remember, and to a point where you started something happened probably to pique your curiosity or your interest, and you kind of took a second note of that. How long ago was that, and what happened?
Well, I'm 57 now, so it would have been 51 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was sleeping in my bedroom this one particular night, and my best friend was doing a sleepover. We were just wee boys, 6-year-old boys. Mm-hmm. And I was woken up in the middle of the night, and my best friend woke up at exactly the same time. And in the corner of the room was I'm going to describe it as a Victorian Edwardian boy. Okay. Now, he was about the same height as us, but in those days he could well have been 10, 11, 12 maybe. But he just looked like a wee boy, and it was an apparition of a wee boy, and he had a cat on his shoulder. And we just looked at him, we both said, "Can you see that?" "Yes." "What do we do?" "Just wave." We waved at him.
Just wave at him?
Waved back. And then, so that was the first time. But I already kind of knew with it. I just, any time up to about the age of 6 or 7, because you're so recently from spirit, you've come from spirit to come into a body and do an earthly existence, because it's only a few years since you've been born. You have a lot more psychic ability in those early days. Sometimes it gets taken away from you, sometimes you lose it, and sometimes you just ignore it. I was in the after one, I ignored it. So I knew it was there, and I thought, right, that's fine. I know it's there. I know there's ghosts. That's all I need to know. So I just left it like that for years and years and years.
So when you were so around that age, did you ever say anything to your parents or your mother that you had this encounter with this boy in your room? And what was her reaction?
Well, my mum just said, fine, smash it. Because my nana, who's her mum, she was a medium. So she wasn't a medium like I am. She read tea leaves and she did psychic readings and stuff, but she didn't attend churches. But her sister did, and her sister was a medium in a church. So it kind of runs in the family. So me telling my mum I've just seen a ghost, she went, aye, fine.
You know, I have to preface this. So, Stephen, back at the time, were you living in Scotland or were you living somewhere else?
I was living near a city called Newcastle in Northern England.
Okay.
Northeast England.
And being from the U.S., a lot of us just automatically think that a lot of the countries over there, and I can attest, I've had many experiences over there, or maybe it's just me being a beacon and a lighthouse, and they know that I'm open or whatever, but I've had a variety of experiences over there. But so we naturally assume that we're going to run into something of some kind of haunting. Would you say that where you lived in your town or your city, that it was relatively nearby or pretty haunted in and of itself back then, or even now?
Now, I didn't know back then, but I remember when that same year I saw the boy, we went on a family holiday up to Stirling and then to Fort William, and this was 1974. And I remember going up to the Wallace Monument and looking over the Carse, the valley towards the mountains, and thinking to myself, I've been here before. Definitely been here before. So I just let that go. After we finished the week in Stirling, we moved up to Fort William that same holiday, and again I felt as if I'd been there before. So 20 years later, me and my girlfriend had split up, and this same person that saw the ghost with me, my best friend, he was splitting up with his girlfriend, and we basically just tossed a coin, literally, and we ended up in Fort William on holiday. That night, the first night, I met my wife. So that was 20 years later. And then another 8 years later, I actually bought a house in Stirling. So, and where the house was, there was a fence between my house and the caravan site that we stayed in. So I actually ended up going there 20 years later and living for 10 years. But it transpired. Long story, and it's in my book. But I saw a demon one day, and it was chasing me. And I do a lot of work with soul rescue, soul release, and I do a lot of work with angels. And at this particular time, I basically managed to get rid of the demon that was trying to affect me. And I said to my guardian angel, why am I so attracted to Stirling? Have I been here before? He told me, and this really made me sit down. He said, Stephen, you were at the Battle of Stirling Bridge with William Wallace, which was the 16th of April, no, that was coloured, 9th September 1297. I can't remember the exact date. Anyway, after William Wallace basically beat the English army, he went down to Newcastle and Durham, and he sacked Durham, and he sacked Newcastle, and he went to the west side of Newcastle, a place called Newburn, went down to the River Tyne, and they were basically camping there. And then the people on the other side of the river in a village called Wrighton, they came down to the riverside and started goading the clansmen, forgetting that the river at that point was very shallow in the summer and they could walk over. So Wallace's clansmen then went to the village called Ryton, and he sacked the village in 1297. Now, I am from Ryton.
So
I sacked my own village.
Oh God, that's that. So you did a twist here. When you say you sacked it, you mean like you?
I was with Wallace.
Yeah.
And I sacked the village I was born in 700-800 years beforehand.
Interesting.
So that's when you said Ryton is probably one of the most haunted villages you could imagine, because it was officially sacked. This was only brought out as absolute fact a few decades ago.
Wow.
And it was after I moved up to Scotland, so I had no knowledge of it. But I found out latterly from a guardian angel, you were at Stirling Bridge, then you went and sacked the village you were born in. So that's synchronicity, big time.
Yeah. And not only that, would you say maybe reincarnation's not the right word here, but do you think you were reincarnated a few times here? I find it fascinating that you can actually be drawn back to an area or a place and have this really strong feeling. And I've had that, by the way. I've had that before, so I understand being drawn back. But I find it interesting how it's like you turned against the village of which you were, having this fight in. Yeah. And people are going to ask this question to me anyway. They're going to say, okay, so you're chased by a demon. All right. What was, could you see what it looked like? Could you tell what, okay.
So there's two ways of seeing the full manifestation of ghosts or paranormal things. It's rare. I've physically seen a fairy. There was only one in my garden. I got a photograph of it. I've physically seen manifestations of spirit, but in the majority of work as a medium, it's through the third eye telepathy. Mm-hmm. This demon, it was a bit in between, because what I saw a portal open, and it was basically a quintessential whirlwind of energy. Mm-hmm. So a spiral of energy, and then I was warned by my guardian angel as a demon coming towards me, and I literally saw it. But it was like, the Predator on the film Predator, where you see the outline, the faint outline. It was like that. So I saw partly with my eyes and partly with my third eye. It was kind of weird, and it came hurtling towards me. I knew my guardian angel was standing beside me. He's about 12 foot tall.
Oh, wow.
And incidentally, my guardian angel is called Tyrannus. I only found this out maybe 1 or 2 years before this happened. Mm-hmm. And Tyrannus in ancient Greek means king bird. My name's Bird.
Interesting. Oh, Bird. Yes.
Bird. It means king bird, Tyrannus. So
wow.
they've even given me a guardian angel with my surname. So I had my guardian angel standing there. I had my granddad standing there in spirit. I had my great uncle George in spirit, and I had my guide, who was a Roman soldier called Tiberius. Wow. And this was all on the spot where I first met Tiberius. I saw him. He was killed by the Picts in the 2nd century, I think. I met him. I saw his body lying on the ground in full Legionnaire's costume with his throat slit. Oh. So that's when he introduced himself to me. And I worked in a lot of my early work with Tiberius. But we actually both died together in the same battle in France in 1942. So that's how it's kind of boom. How do we work this one out? But the thing is, when you're working with spirit, they will never tell a lie. You might interpret some information slightly incorrectly because it's very difficult to work with spirit, but they will never tell you a lie, ever. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm told a specific thing, whether it's from an angel, whether it's from a spirit, it's true. It's absolutely 100% true.
I think it's fascinating. And I just recently interviewed somebody who I asked the question. We were on the subject of like, oh, they're talking about how they're reincarnated from, or they went back and they were some kind of a witch back in that they were bound up and thrown in a well and all this sort of thing. And I said, how far back can a person actually go to be able to figure out how many layers and or reincarnations, or however you want to term that, have had? Because and then who do you believe if you go to someone? So I said I'd get a second reading on that one. So what are your thoughts about that? You've gone back pretty far here, and that's a long time. And so where are you getting that information from? Are you channeling or someone relaying this to you?
I'm speaking via telepathy with my guardian angel.
Okay.
The guardian angel has been with me all my life, through thick and thin. And if I have a need to know an answer to a question, I'll get it.
Yeah.
If I don't need to know, or they don't want to give me it, I won't get it.
Yeah.
Because you can be over-absorbed in the whole idea of mediumship and of spirituality and energy and manipulation of energy, and it can and has and does do, I would imagine, every medium harm from time to time, which is whereby you need to step back, switch off, and go, right, that's me, I'm done, right, no more, go away, don't want to know, come back to me in 6 weeks.
Yeah, no, I've heard, I've dealt with psychics for about 40 years in various ways, when I've had the need, let's put it to you that way. And I have been told that, people can wear some of these people out pretty badly and just drain the living soul out of them, but with question and being bombarded and all this. But that brings me to, I want to eventually get into what a platform medium is, but I want to still go back to the next stage, where I have here that you saw, or there was a small gray alien at the base of your bed. I want you to talk a little bit about that. That's really fascinating.
Well, I didn't really say this little boy I saw. I've seen him a number of times as I was getting older. I mean, I lived with my nana more than I lived with my mother when I was growing up. For various different reasons, and I did see this wee fella a number of times, and he was actually seen by some neighbours as well, so it wasn't just me. And subsequently, I've got two nephews, and there's a distance in age between them, and they've both seen him over the decades as well. So I didn't think much about spirit until I was in bed. I was 15 years old, so this is 1983. Mm-hmm. And I woke up at don't know what time, but I literally was paralyzed. All I could do was blink. And when I opened my eyes, I saw basically, I drew a picture of it.
Oh, cool. Got it. Yep, got it. Wow. Right. Wow.
So that's standing at the bottom of my bed, and I just thought, that's not right. So I was panicking, but all I could do was close my eyes. So that's what I did. I closed my eyes. A time later, I don't know how long, I woke up and I was screaming the house down. And my nana, who was in the next bedroom, she came running in and just sat down next to me. She asked me what happened. I told her, and she just gave me a cuddle. She says, "It's okay. It's gone."
Interesting. When it was at the base of your bed, did it telepathically say anything to you that you remember?
Didn't say anything. It just stood there and looked at me, and I freaked. But then all I did was close my eyes. I don't remember physically closing my eyes, but I did, because I remember opening. So I often thought about getting regressed to see whether I was actually abducted. It is possible, especially considering the experiences that I've had since. It's entirely possible I've been marked. Yeah. Because I've seen over a dozen UFOs. I've got a very good video of one which was on Ancient Aliens. So it is a daytime one in Scotland. But I've seen all sorts of shapes. And my wife was with me on most occasions as well. So there was two of us. This area is near Bonnybridge, where I live. Mm-hmm. So it was ground central for UFOs in the 90s. There was nowhere better than Bonnie Bridge. Since we've moved here, we can see Bonnie Bridge just about, and we've seen 5 or 6 in the last 3 years, different shapes, 2 eggs, lots of lights. But I know what the lights are, because the lights are the aliens that I channeled last year and this year. They told me that was their ship, most of the lights in Bonnie Bridge. But can I prove it? I just can't prove it. But I did draw pictures of them, and I do have a video of me channeling them and an audio recording of me channeling them with witnesses, because the witnesses were asking questions. Yeah.
There's many people that I have interviewed over there that have seen these UFO craft hovering around near their small villages or their small towns as well. So what you're telling me is not uncommon, and it's more common than you might realize.
Oh, no, it's common. I'm an investigator, so I do speak to a lot of witnesses, but that's the picture of the aliens that I channeled.
Oh my goodness. The one has kind of a weird face, the one on the right. That's interesting. And do you think by chance that they might have hovered over your home? And now I'm going to tell you, I've been regressed twice because I have been marked, and I've had a dream that I begged for the answer. I went to 5 psychics. Everybody gave me a different theory or their thought. One, though, I think hit it on the mark. And it just by chance, it was over here where I almost died of COVID, and it was over here where I had COVID pneumonia, which is kind of like a jam up of, kind of like a cement jam in there. And they told me it was going to take me a long time to heal and get that out of there. And I had to, try to suck it out with a device. And as soon as that hand was upside down, had a crooked finger, it was really weird, they're elongated, and I show it at conferences too. But the thing is as soon as that hand was over there, it's clear. I don't have anything in there anymore. I've had miraculous healings. I believe I've had a few of these myself, and I have been regressed. And the thing is you gotta, when you go and you get a regression from somebody, you got to be careful, because hopefully you will get a recommendation or know somebody who's been regressed before and felt like they were successful in that, because they all do different techniques, and if they don't do it right, it can lead you to become a little damaged, or I became very, very depressed during my first one. But with that one, it actually woke me up in a different way, and I was able to predict everything and win things and all that sort of thing. So I learned a little bit about myself. The second one, though, that I had done, I had too much interference in the room. The light kept flickering, and it wouldn't stop flickering even though my eyes were closed and the lights were kind of dim. And that one was not successful at all. We were trying to find out which alien or extraterrestrial put that handprint on my body.
Right, so I do know, since I've started channeling aliens, I do know, I'd never asked the question of spirit, whether spirit world work with other off-world and other dimensional beings on the planet, and they informed me that they do. But at this moment in time, I'm not getting any training on it because I don't need it. So I know spirit work with aliens.
Yeah.
Also know that some aliens aren't aliens. They're here. They've always been here. They were here before us.
Right.
These 2 aliens that I spoke to were from a planet which was basically a water planet, a twin planet system. They said there's no point in telling you where it is, but it's a planet called Agnita. So that's what they call it. But what are we going to call it? M25 6.2. I have no idea. Right?
Yeah.
They've been here for 300 years, and they're basically scientists being ignored by the people that run the world. And we're not talking about politicians here. We're talking about other people.
Yeah.
And they're basically wanting to help us fix what the damage we've done and fix our planet because it's beautiful. and it's in pain, and nobody's listening to them. So they've spoke to a number of people that aren't in charge, but the problem is we don't have a platform. We don't have a platform to change things because it's all about asset. That's how we run the planet. We run it for asset. We're in control, and that's not really conducive to a healthy planet. So, what more can I say?
You know, I think what you've described is kind of have you ever done, and I have not done this. I'm actually a little scared to do this. I recently was at a gig with someone, and he had brought up a story about how he did a CE5 experiment, and he did say that during this one experiment, it was him and this other guy, and all of a sudden, they somehow were successful, and they were surrounded by a bunch of, I guess I'll call them grays with the big eyes, and all that. And they could see their eyes. They're kind of cloaked, but they were kind of surrounded by them. And I never did ask him, well, what happened after that? Have you ever done any kind of a CE5, or do you do that in a different way?
We've done CE5. I was a part of an organisation set up by Malcolm Robinson. He's wrote 14 books. He was the first one at the Declan Woods incident, which was 1979. It's a very famous incident in Scotland. He wrote a book called The Socky Poltergeist. He's wrote books about Loch Ness and aliens and paranormal cases. I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought. What was your question?
C5. Have you?
C5, right? Yeah. C5, right? I've got it back now. So there was one time that we did a C5 experiment, and it was in the same place where I channeled the aliens.
Yep.
And although I did see the aliens, I did speak to them briefly. In fact, that night I did channel them again, and that was recorded on video. Sorry, because we've been there 3 times. So the C5, did it work? No, it didn't work. But I was there, and I spoke to my friends. So, but was it the C5 that caused it? Nah, not at all. But were you doing it right? I'm not convinced about CE5. Is what I'm saying. I'm not convinced that it does or doesn't work. But I'm open to the idea of, because we've all seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and that's basically what it is they're doing. I think personally, the aliens I've spoke to are telepathic.
Yeah.
Like most mediums. In fact, I'm going to say all mediums, to a certain extent. So I think the intention that you want to speak to them is as powerful as any sound you can throw out, because they can channel the energy, which is your mind thoughts. So if you're able to cross over the dimension or cross into another way of thinking, or just to the process of telepathy, I think if your intention is right and so is theirs, I think it'll naturally happen. That's the way I think about it. So
yeah, I'm telepathic. I learned I was telepathic, though, when I was around in my young 30s, and well, it's a long story. If you watch our show back, by the way, when it airs, you will see in the beginning a little bit about my story, and you will see a part in there that'll make more sense. But yeah, it happened when I've actually photographed some of my, I believe to be relatives in a screen window, and it happened after a tornado kind of ripped through the property and all this sort of thing. And I went back to try to talk to them, and they had told me that the genealogy was wrong, and I was like really dumbfounded, like, what? And they were right. There was a little girl that showed in the window, and an older man, and it's right. They were right. The little girl's name was wrong, and I corrected it. And yeah, that was when I learned I was telepathic, and that was also when I learned. That's when I got excited about wanting to have more experiences like that with other, at the time, paranormal, what I believe to be paranormal beings or whatever you want to call them, ghost apparitions. But I never really have delved yet into trying, and I bet it's happened a few times. I already bet it has with me. Anything of a interdimensional or an alien source, I would wonder about that. But I am telepathic and I do ask for guidance, which brings me to a question to you about being channeled. I do get channeled. Have you been channeled, and what kinds of things are you being channeled about?
Right. So the term channeling it's not just a straightforward one size fits all. When a platform medium works with spirit, they basically are channeling information from the spirit they're speaking to the sitter who needs to be healed. So that's one form of channeling. Another form of channeling is when you allow, let's say, an inspirer or a speaker in the spirit world. When you take a divine service, you should really do philosophy. Mm-hmm. So I could do philosophy and have done it before, but I prefer to allow spirit to work with me. So I'll let an inspirer stand by me and talk through me. So there's another way, and then you have the other types of channeling, which is basically the ones I've done with aliens. And to be perfectly honest, it's exactly the same process. Mm-hmm. Felt the same result. The only difference was when I channeled the aliens was I felt a little bit off sorts for a couple of days. Mm-hmm. And when I meditated one day, I asked my guide, "What's the issue?" I think it was. She said I had a female guide at the time, mm-hmm. And she said, "You have got problems with your chakras." Mm-hmm. Oh, right. What seems to be the problem? They're covered in something, right? Okay, so there are in spirit world. You have it's a mirror image of this world, but it's energy. It's not physical. It's energy. Yeah. So a spirit surgeon came to see me, asked me what I'd done, told me that I was naughty, basically, but try and fix the problem. And he came back to me a couple of minutes later. He says, "You've got slime all over your chakras." Right. Can you fix it? Yes, I can. So he fixed it. And he said, "Your chakras are better than they were before. They're much brighter." And then I sat down and I thought, how come I've got slime on my chakras? Yeah. But then I thought, these came from a water planet, these aliens. So they've obviously channeled me and left part of them with me. And when I saw them, they actually were wrapped. They were in a giant bubble with what looked like liquid in it. So they must have left some of the skin surface on me when they worked with me. So, but it was all good. My mediumship took a slight peak, 2 or 3 weeks going forward from there, and it stabilized again. So, So it was a good thing that I did, and I've done it twice now. So I wouldn't think twice about doing it 3 times. So if I can learn something, but the problem is I'm just this big, but nobody's going to listen to me. I don't hit the headlines very often, if at all. I'm just a medium who rescues many people and heals the rest. But it's kind of weird because when I was in Wallace's army back in the day, I was a soldier. I was a soldier in the Second World War, and in this life, I've tried to get in the Royal Air Force twice, the army once. And I was accepted into Northern Constabulary as a policeman. I got accepted and offered a job, but I failed the medical. So I've gone from soldier. I can't do it in this life. I'm now a healer. So there's more to reincarnation than it's kind of. I'm never going to be a soldier in this life. Much as I've got it in me, I wanted to do it. I'm the opposite. I've flipped over. I went the other way.
I think that's really fascinating. I was just going to ask you along that lines, have you been able to trace back, or have you attempted at all to trace back your genealogy to see how far back and what significant genetics were going back? Have you been able to do that at all?
No, and there might be little or no point to doing that, because you need to set aside the physical from the energy, from the soul. My soul doesn't necessarily belong to my relatives I have now. So back then, I've no idea, because you've got the carbon-based. You have sex, have babies. That's the physical. Soul's dropped in. So you've got no choice as to where you get dropped in each life. So I don't think I could go, because you're mixing things up. You're mixing the earthly body with the soul, and they don't mix. They only mix. You can't trace one from the other, is what I'm trying to say. Because your soul belongs to spirit, your body belongs to the earth. That makes sense?
Yeah, I understand it. I mean, well, I've been told actually twice now that I'm a starseed. And my first question was, what's a starseed? When this was brought to my attention, and a neighbor actually brought this to my attention about, 6-7 years ago, and I just was like, what? I don't understand what you're talking about. And then I started reading a little bit about starseeds and descriptions about them and all this. And I just had I just did an interview with a gal, just very recently. And she just said point blank right on camera. I didn't even ask the question. I never even brought it up. She just said, your starseed family's all standing behind you right now. And of course, I'm in a room with a black drape behind my head. And I'm like, oh, really? And I was very baffled by the fact that she picked up the fact that I was a starseed. Are you also a starseed?
I don't know.
Because it sounds like you might.
No idea.
You might be. When you're talking,
I haven't asked the question because it was only probably in the last. I knew that would go off. Sorry, I'm an AC/DC fan. I only seen the word starseed for the first time 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And my life's already weird enough and complicated enough. Do I need to know that? Nah, not really. I don't really need to know. I would be interested to find out, but it's not top of the shopping list. So if someone tells me why and how, Spirit might tell me if I ask them, but I'm not really bothered. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Not really bothered. Doesn't matter. I belong to the universe anyway, so where I came from it is highly likely because I've had so many experiences, both the first, second, third, and fourth type. Maybe. Don't know.
The thing is I think the point of a starseed, although I did hear this on somebody else's show quite a while ago. I kind of heard that there are a lot of starseeds coming down right now to try to help save this planet. That's what I had heard. They're coming down for different reasons. And I've been noticing things in some of these young kids, even though you can't always blame it on that because it's your environment, this and that and whatever, and the whole 10 yards. But the point of a starseed, I don't even, for example, I used to do law and I used to teach college, and for the longest time I never thought I would be doing this, for God's sakes. Are you kidding me? And it just seems like I'm being elevated. And I don't know if you can see yourself being elevated or having or even just maybe being on my show. You're going to be heard by an awful lot of people, okay? So, explain to people a little bit, because I'm kind of fascinated. You called yourself like a platform medium. What exactly is that?
So you could probably, it's similar to a lay preacher or a pastor. I don't know what you call them in America. I work with the spirit world, and there's no doctrine in the spirit world. There's the Akashic scrolls, but that's people's lives and the good and the bad things. But I don't live by a doctrine of any type. I live by the fact that I treat people how I want to be treated. And I'm kind to people most of the time until it's time not to be kind. So because I don't know whether I was chosen to be a medium. I suspect I was, but I ignored it for a long, long time. And it was only in my late 40s when I decided to look at it. But a platform medium is somebody who will stand in a church or a spiritual centre and give readings to 10, 20, 50, 100, 200 people. And I'll just stand there and I'll tune into spirit and I'll speak to people and I'll say, look, can I speak to you? Auntie Fiona's here, and she's saying she passed away with a heart attack and she died on the 27th of the month. It's all evidential with me. She came from, I don't know, Glasgow or whatever. And that's, spirit always give me specific stuff. So so my job as a platform medium is to prove life eternal. So I prove life eternal by giving people distinct facts about a relative of theirs. And I'll do that for anything up to about an hour and a half. So I'll get through between 6 and 12 people in that time. So that's basically a platform medium. You'll start the service off with a prayer, an opening prayer, do a bit of philosophy, and then go into clairvoyance. So that's what platform medium is. And there must be 200 or 300 churches in Scotland, spiritual churches. There's even more in England. So I've done, most of my work's been in Scotland, but I have done one in England 4 times. So that's platform mediumship. Is you do it en masse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like a priest but without any book to follow.
So you're comparing. I'm comparing that then to what we call over here having a gallery reading, and a gallery. What you're describing is what we have at our conferences a lot. Is someone will have a workshop, or not a workshop, but something like a gallery, where people will come in and then they'll see if they can kind of pick up energies of certain individuals in the room and tell them details about the messages that they're receiving from their loved ones or whomever that is coming through to give them a message. That's like it's not necessarily like a seance, it's just like a gallery. And that's interesting. You know why? Because that's very open over there for you to be able to do that.
It's called an open circle in some places, but it's basically, it's not. It's just the way the society is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very much accepted. You get most of the people that go to the churches are open to the idea or believe or know. So you do get the occasional skeptic.
Yeah.
But that's the fun bit, when you turn a skeptic into a believer. But there's two different ways of working with this. There's a difference between a psychic and a medium. So, for people who don't know, a psychic is someone who works with the energies and the aura of the person they're speaking to, and they'll give them some idea of their character and how they're feeling in their life, and they'll be able to tell certain basic facts about them as people and what they do and things like that. So, and that's fine, because there are some very good psychics in the world, but they're not plugged into the source. I'm plugged in. I've got a telephone line, direct line to heaven, for want of a better phrase. So when I work with spirit, I will bring distinct facts and evidence, and I'll do the same as a psychic, because not all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums.
Right.
We work differently. I can work as a psychic. I don't like working as a psychic because I miss out vital stuff. I'd rather speak to people who are crossed over, because then I can bring the real stuff in. The stuff that's undeniable fact.
All right, so here comes the next question. All right, so I've also interviewed, of course, psychics and mediums, of course. I've used them myself for a long, long time, and there seems to be, at least over here, the attitude of people sometimes aren't sure that the medium is actually talking with their loved one, but it's amazing to them how the details that come through are spot on a lot of the times. And again, there are good mediums and there's adequate mediums, and there's some that probably need a little more practice. It's like anywhere with any type of profession, there's no difference. So my question to you is this. So I know one gentleman right now that I'm thinking about who's very good at bringing in evidence and facts and stuff like that to try to convince somebody that they're actually talking with. Are you telepathically picking up on your pipeline to these individuals? Because I don't know if they're always there on command. What are your thoughts on that?
Spirit's there whenever, well, personally, Spirit's there whenever I want to speak to them. I'll just express an intention to have a word with my guide or one of my family. It's passed over and they're there like that. So it's the process of the evidence from Spirit through the veil to the medium is telepathic.
Okay.
But the reading of the person that's sitting in front of you isn't. But it can be if you're a psychic. So I don't work that way. I work straight with heaven. I work straight to Spirit to earth, and I'm in the middle. So.
And do people ask you? Are they allowed to ask you questions, or do you just pick up things and relay the message to them?
One of the first things you say is when you start working is, please don't feed the medium. I've had my tea tonight. I don't need any more food. Okay, so you basically. There are occasions when a medium will have to say, can you understand why? Because I'm getting this guy here, and so this has happened, and this is what he looks like, but he's not giving me his name. Oh, that sounds like... So would you understand why I'm being told this? And then you've got a reaction when somebody just says nothing and just looks at you as what? Because not everything I'm given by Spirit I can decipher. So occasionally I'll have to ask the question, I don't understand what I'm seeing here. Can you please explain it to me? And I'll explain what I'm saying, and then they'll explain it to me. But there'll always be some precise detail in there. And it's not the same with every medium, because not every medium devotes themselves enough and trains themselves enough, because the vast majority of the training as a medium is done by Spirit, your guides. During meditation. Now, in the UK now, there are very few old-fashioned teaching methods in mediumship. It's gone to a modern method. Physical mediumship's almost disappeared. So that's bringing manifestations physically through ectoplasm and things like that. That's almost gone. There's only a handful of people doing that now. So the way mediums are trained now is totally different. So Spirit has now taken on that mantle because of the modernity of life. So Spirit does most of the training now, whereas a lot of the training was done in circles, closed circles. So you would have Spirit would know who they're working with, so they know the energies of the people that's in the circle, and there would be nobody else allowed in that circle.
Yeah.
So the maximum training done. It's not like that anymore. I never sat in circle for any more than 6 weeks. Whereas most of the people not going to say colleagues, but most of the people on the circuit in Scotland, most of them sat in circle for many years. I didn't have that opportunity. So they just threw me out at it.
So did you evolve as you were getting older? Did you evolve in your skills? Because, okay, so you have this in your family background, so we know that somehow it's in your pipeline or your genetics or something or whatever it is, that not everybody gets the same genetics. So you've got something along the way.
That's the point. It's nothing to do with genetics.
Yeah.
It's your energy. You separate the body from the soul. Your genetics have got nothing to do with this. It's your energy. I was put here to do something. Most mediums were put here to be mediums.
Yeah.
Whether you accept it or deny it, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
Because you can decide to accept it or refuse it. So the genetics has got zero to do with it. In my opinion, it's got nothing to do with it. That's the physical part of you. We're not dealing with physical here. We're dealing with energy. So when we're as a medium.
Very interesting. So did you find that you were getting better at it as you were aging? How do you feel now compared to maybe some of your younger years? Do you feel like you're really got it going now, like you're very good at it versus before, or has nothing changed very much?
When I was younger, I ignored it and I didn't do anything about it. I just saw strange things. I went, whatever.
God. I wish I could have said that.
I just thought, oh, that's interesting. Smash it. Right. Move on. It was only in the last 10 years. I've only actually been a medium for not even 10 years yet. I started in 2017.
Yeah.
And I was just basically going to the church to get a reading, basically.
Yeah.
And then several of the mediums said, you should try and learn. I've been told you're on the waiting list for a job vacancy. Oh, okay. And I really wanted to do it anyway, so that's when I devoted myself. And so we're only talking 10 years of me physically working with spirit, much as they've been knocking on my head for 50.
Yep.
But I decided I only started working with spirit when I was ready.
Yeah.
Before that. And at this moment in my life, I'm just, it's a pretty tricky economical situation for me just now, so I'm now coming to the realization that I've devoted 10 years of my life to this, and now it's time I want to retire, and I want to try and retire in the next 5 years or so, 6 maybe, at the latest. So I now have to devote myself more to my work than I did before.
Yeah.
COVID changed a lot for me. I lost a business, and I lost my job. I wasn't able to earn anything. I was one of the shielding people, and then my guides got me to write my book, which was basically it follows along the COVID situation. So it was very much that was the reason why I started. And if you'd asked me 10 years ago, or told me I was going to write a book and become a poet, I'd call you mad. You're totally mad. No, it's not happening. I'm a salesman. End of. But that just didn't happen, did it? So, but now I've got four platform services to do till the end of the year, and then I've only got booked in 5 for next year already. So I'm really going to hold back on it because I have to concentrate on bringing money in. Aye.
Well, I know a gentleman who, I don't know if he was a medium or if he was kind of a combination of a psychic medium, but he had to take a rest because he did, at the point that I interviewed him, and then after that he kind of just decided to take a rest. He had done like 13,000 readings, and I'm sure there's some out there who could probably say, oh, I've done twice that amount or whatever. And we had talked before the show a little bit how this can really drain a person's energy. I mean, it's obvious to me that with your skill, this is something you could probably do in your retirement or whatever, just to bring in some additional funds and all that. And I know that especially in America here, there's no shortage of people wanting to have a good reading with someone. There's a lot of skeptics out there that just are on the fence regarding, is he really talking to my dad, or is he pulling this from the Akashic record somewhere, or how does he know this or this and that? And
either way, it does prove eternal life, because who wrote the Akashic records? Either way, there's evidence on the phone. So you can't pull things out of the Akashic records. The Akashic records are written by very highly developed spirits. Very highly developed. They've been in spirit forever. Most of them didn't touch the earth. I've had one spirit guide that was a miscarriage. He never touched the earth. But he's a guide.
Yeah.
So that surprised me when I found that out last year. He was American as well.
Oh, interesting. No, I was going to say, you'd be very well sought after from individuals here. You've got to be careful about how much you can handle so it doesn't completely, drain.
In the last 10 years, there was many times when I've just stopped. I've stepped back for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Over the Christmas and New Year, really, you're stepping back for 6 to 8 weeks anyway, because you just don't want to go out in the bad weather.
Yeah.
And I'm coming to that point where, much as I'd like to step back right now, I can't. I've still got commitments to do.
Yeah.
So, but after November, I'm done until next year, maybe February. I think the first one next year. But you have to maintain yourself.
Yeah. You
have to empty it. Every time you do a reading, it takes a little bit away from you.
Yep.
Your energy, which is then replenished by spirit. So, and you're always left with the positive. But if you don't empty yourself every now and then of what you don't need, the negative energy, it builds up. It builds up and causes quite big problems.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I'm saying. It's just like I know some people that have gotten kind of sick because they've done too much. If that makes any sense to you, but I'm glad to see though that you're able to gauge where you're at, what you can do, where it needs to take a breather, and where you can recharge, and then and kind of plan this out in a different way. So I would like to ask you for probably our final question, because we'll have you back. He's writing a second book, and I'm really excited to want to talk to you again. When you get that book done, and that probably will fall into good timing. But I would like to know from you or maybe and others, what would you say was your most, I want to say, aha moment, or something that maybe startled you, or just something significant that you can remember where you either thought twice or whatever, you're scared or whatever. Can you think of whether it was with something interdimensional, alien, or what we'd call spirit or apparition or whatever? I'm sure you've had any.
There's too many to mention. The demon was one. I was in it was an open circle when I first started to learn, and there was 25, 30 people in the room, and the energy, you could feel it in waves just hitting you, and it was like sitting in a tidal pool in the leisure centre, moving like that. There was streaks flashing around the room, there was apparitions walking around, and then I opened my eyes, and the medium who was taking the session says, "Don't be worried if you see people with their heads missing." Oh. And the three people next to me had no head.
Oh, oh my God!
It was nuts.
I don't know what I would have done in a case like that. It's like, I mean, could you just not see them, or they're physical?
Gone, headless. But that's the energy that was in the room that was causing the vision of people having no heads, because one of them grew back. The guy two down from me, his grew back, and it grew into an Anubis dog, and then it went back into a person.
Oh my God!
Crazy. There was so much transfiguration going on in that room at the time, and that was like, now that's interesting.
Yeah,
that is weird.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done. It didn't shock you. It would shock me. I'd probably sit there and, I don't know, pass out. Ugh,
The only thing that's ever shocked me was that demon. And that's, thankfully, I've done all the soul release. I've taken attachments off people. Some of those attachments have been very nasty people. But the most amazing work I do is the rescue work, without a shadow of a doubt. And I've now done in excess of 250, 300 people, souls that have passed, probably closer to 300. Even I did 5 or 6 years ago, I went to Culloden and rescued about 87 people. I spoke to the McGilvery's, the Frasers, the Athol men. They were all quite keen on heading home to Spirit, because they're still fighting at Culloden. The Camerons told me to go away. I said no, and my wife's from Cameronland. So, but they told me in no uncertain terms, we're still fighting. I could hear the booming and the noise. Yeah. When I got back to the caravan, it was just quite weird. I sat down, because we got a touring caravan, and where the touring caravan was in a place called Newlands. Mm. Now, Newlands was actually meant to be where the battle was going to be taking place, not Culloden. It was an accident Culloden was there, because the Culloden is not ideal for anybody that has to run around. It's just a bog. So the night before the Battle of Culloden, the Duke of Cumberland was in Nairn, and he was getting drunk because it was his birthday. Half the Highlanders, this was Body Prince Charlie's fault, half the Highlanders went across, got halfway there, and then decided, because the weather was awful, to come back. But they could have stopped the Battle of Culloden that night. But the place where I was staying was Newlands, where it was up high, and they were going to attack the English army from height. But it never happened that way. It transpired at the end of Culloden. But that afternoon, when I go back from Culloden, I got the table outside, got a beer. My wife sat next to me. She read her book, fell asleep. That's normal. And then I closed my eyes, and all I saw was several Jacobites, claymores in the air, screaming at me. And then when I opened my eyes, I looked at the caravan, and the bottom of the caravan was covered in blood. The next day, I was told by my guardian angel, I said, "Can you confirm this properly? Because I've just seen what I've seen. I know what I've done, because it was only maybe the third or fourth time I'd done a soul rescue." And he says, "Well, wherever you go tomorrow, you'll be faced with thousands and thousands of white feathers. So when we go caravanning, we don't decide what we're going to do till the day because of the weather in Scotland, because the weather's normally crap. So if the weather's crap, we'll go somewhere where it's okay." So the weather was okay the next day, so we decided to go to Fort George, which I incidentally found out was built because of Culloden. So when we got into Fort George, it was just grass everywhere, and an 18th century fort, and there was white feathers absolutely everywhere. So that was another bit of confirmation, which I've done some good work. Last week we were on holiday. 2 weeks ago, holiday in the northern town in England called Berwick, which was sacked by Longshanks, Edward I, and it laid claim to the phrase "the rivers run red," because he killed everybody in Berwick, threw their bodies in the river. Near Berwick, there was the last medieval battle fought in Britain was called the Battle of Flodden. And that was James IV of Scotland wanted to take over England. Anyway, he got it wrong, and the English army battered them, killed 10,000 Scots. Now, when we were there, I wanted to go to Flodden to see if there was any work to be done, and my guardian said there's 156 souls need rescuing. So like 2 weeks ago, 156.
Wow.
But when my wife is spiritual, she's quite sensitive, but when we got to the car park where the battle site is, she couldn't believe what she was feeling. She was like dizzy. The hairs were standing on her. She was going mental. That says, "When you feel that," she says, "Oh, yes." Like, okay, so then I stood outside the car, and Gunnar Simpson started talking to me. He says, Can you help us? We want to go home." Yes, that's what I'm here for. So anyway, long story short, I performed the ceremony, recorded it, and I only recorded it audio rather than video, because Spirit wouldn't have come out on the video anyway.
Yeah.
But I watched 156 souls walk through the light. It was beautiful.
So one final question, and then I'm going to wrap up, but I've got a question about that. So when he's talking about rescuing, what he's talking about is trying to get these souls to go up into the light rather than hang around, I presume. Here's the question, though. Sometimes when people feel like they've rescued here or they've gone or whatever, sometimes they come back. So how do you know that some of these souls don't come back?
Right, so when you die, vast majority of people see the light, instantly remember where they came from, walk through the light, there you go, they're home. Some people die in a manner which is violent or sudden, and they don't realise they're dead.
Yeah.
So they're stuck here. They miss the bus, for want of a better phrase. They're stuck here. And the third category is some people know when they die, they have instant flashback of where they're going, realise they've been bad, really bad, and they stay here. So they stay here. But with the likes of the battles, 99 out of 100 people, they basically died in a violent manner, which meant that they imprinted them. They basically didn't know what was going on, and they walked around aimlessly, so they were stuck. And 156 of them from both sides. They both, because I asked them, "Are you still fighting?" No, we're all friends. But in spirit, time doesn't mean anything. So that's 500 years, goes by like that. They're still fighting the Culloden 250 years ago, goes by like that. So it doesn't mean anything. It's a human invention time. So they're stuck, but it's not like they've been there for a long time in their
world. Interesting. Stephen, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, where you can find your book, and if they want to reach out and touch base with you. And there might be a few that will after our conversation today, especially with your abilities. So, of course, already get ready to figure out how you're going to handle some of that. But tell everyone a little bit about how they can reach out to you.
Well, my book's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's available in most countries around the world. I have got some readers in America, Canada, Australia, Ireland, Britain, predominantly English-speaking countries, but my book is printed in foreign languages, and it's called A Psychic Salesman. I'll show you. Everything that's on there is in the book.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it yet, but I love it. That's a good picture, too.
Yep, so... it's it's readily available there. I do have a landing page with some reviews on. It's quite basic. You can contact me through that, which is thepsychicsalesman.com, or I'm on Facebook. Anything other than that, no. I'm kind of a dinosaur, so I don't do a lot of social media. Whether that's going to change in the future, I don't know.
Well, you never know. You know the way things are. Once you get comfortable with something, they go out there and they change our world for us, And I think you understand, because we're kind of around the same age, except I'm a little bit older, but we still kind of follow a similar path on certain things. But we'll have you back. So on behalf of the show and everyone, thank you so very much for your time, and thank you for being here today.
Thanks for the invite. Great to see you.